Hello and welcome, I am Arumba. Thank you for joining me. So, like many people, I'm very excited about Europa Universalis 4, and I recognize that some people might not have access to the game quite yet. I'm still about a week away from the full game being released. So one thing I was thinking I might do is I'm actually going to record and play the tutorial and just show you kind of what you can learn. The tutorial in EU4 is fantastic. I played through it, took my time, and I have a pretty good understanding of the game now. So let's go ahead and do it. We're going to play through all these, maybe over a series of a couple videos. But let's start off with the basic. Alright, so you can minimize this interface at any time by clicking the minimize button. To show it again, simply click the maximize button. I love this little arrow system that they use. It's very intuitive, makes it easy to learn. Click next to continue. You can, at any time, pause the game by pressing spacebar, or by clicking the time control interface. Very nice. You can speed up or slow down the game by using the time control interface or pressing the plus or minus button on your keyboard. So we've got plus, minus, and then on the keyboard also. Very nice. Just like Crusader Kings 2, in fact. Unpause the game and wait until the 1st of December to continue. No, I do not want to exit. I want to unpause the game. When you pause Europa Universalis 4, you can keep playing by issuing orders and taking control of the situation. In peacetime, you may want to speed up time, while in wartime, you may want to slow down or pause the game to give the conflict your full attention. You can use your mouse pointer to move the camera by moving it to either the top, bottom, left, or right sides. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard, or by holding the mouse scroll wheel and moving the mouse. So you're clicking and holding the center mouse button. Alright. If you click the mini-map in the lower right of the screen, you will move the camera to that location of the world. This is very useful, especially because compared to some other games, Europa Universalis has a very large playing area. I mean, this is a big map. So, very good. Move the camera by using the arrow keys or by scrolling with the mouse, clicking to continue. I've already zoomed out all the way apparently, so it automatically went to that previous. Number 5 would zoom out all the way. You can zoom in by using the scroll wheel on your mouse or by clicking the zoom in button located near the mini-map in the bottom right hand corner. So these buttons kind of go to pre-programmed distances, whereas with the middle mouse wheel scroll, you can go kind of halfway in between those distances. So if you like to have like if you want to stay at the exact same distance every time, you could just play using the click, you know? Pretty nice. I prefer the mouse wheel, actually, personally. To continue, you must zoom in as close as you can. Okay. Let us see if you understood how you can use the camera. Try finding a certain province by moving the camera and zooming in or out. Follow the arrow until you find the province. When you find the province, the arrow will snap and point down towards it. So this is where I say it's really cool. That's neat. Okay, follow the arrow and find the province of Aberdeen. Left click it to continue. You have now learned how to control the camera. In the next chapter, you will learn about controlling armies and fleets. There should be 2 L's there. Okay. Rebels have taken over the province of Meath. You must defeat them. Select the army stationed in the London province by clicking it, or by holding the left mouse button and dragging a selection box over the army. Now that you have selected the army, right-click on any province to move it there. To get to Meath, you first need to go to Gwynedd. Have the army selected and right-click on Gwynedd, then unpause the game so the unit moves there. Okay, it's one pause. Now, the tutorial kind of automatically controls the game speed, so even if you slow it down, it's going to kind of force it to go at certain speeds, so you don't have to wait forever. You will need to transport your army to Meath by boat. Click Attach to Transport button to load the army into the ships at Gwynedd's port. When a transport ship that has units attached to it leaves the harbor, the units will be embarked onto their ships. So this is a big change from Crusader Kings 2, where you would actually put them in the boats or take them off the boats while it's docked. Boats in harbor will always have their army on the land, so instead you just have this attached to transport button, which, you know, they still stay on land, and then when the ship leaves, they go with it. To move your fleet, right-click the Irish Sea province. Once your fleet moves out of the port, the attached unit will be embarked on the ships. Just kind of come along automatically. To disembark your troops, have the fleet selected, and then click the transport button to select your army. Now that your army is selected, right-click on the Meath province, where the rebels are, to order your troops to disembark. Very nice. Order your army to Meath to continue. Your army is now fighting the rebels in Meath. When the battle is over, you will have to besiege the province because it has been taken over by the rebels. The battle window will appear whenever you have selected an army that is engaged in battle. Remember to unpause. Okay, so we've got combat going on. You have defeated the rebels on the battlefield, but the city is still under rebel control. Your army is besieging Meath, and it will take some time before the defenders will surrender. The time it takes to perform certain actions, such as sieging, has been reduced in the tutorial. Yeah, it's much faster than normal. Normally it's like 30 days per siege event. Victory! You have defeated the rebels and recaptured Meath. You have completed Chapter 2 of the tutorial. In the next chapter, you will learn about production. Click Next to continue to the next chapter. In this chapter, you will learn about recruiting regiments, building ships, and constructing buildings. All production takes place in a province. Click on London to continue. Each province is different and has different economic or military value depending on such things as base tax, trade power, strategic location, or what kind of trade goods they produce. You will learn more about these values later. Provinces are where all unit production takes place. You can recruit regiments, build ships, and hire mercenaries. Armies consist of regiments that can be of 3 different types: infantry, cavalry, or artillery. Each regiment has 1,000 soldiers. Click Recruit Regiment to continue. In the Recruit Regiment window, you will see a list of all units available for recruitment. Recruiting a regiment will cost you 1,000 manpower in addition to ducats. Manpower is this number here. Ducats is this number here. Manpower is an important resource that regenerates over time. Without sufficient manpower, you cannot train new armies or reinforce existing ones. You can see your manpower in the top left corner of the screen, once again, right here. Recruit any regiment in London to continue. So let's go ahead and pick up, say, some light Latin medieval infantry. Okay. You can build ships by selecting a coastal province and clicking the Build Ship button. There are 4 different types of ships: big ships, light ships, galleys, and transports. Click back to go back to the province view, and then click the Build Ship button. So back, and then Build Ship. Big ships are large warships that excel in combat. Light ships are faster ships that are mainly used to protect your trade, but are also useful for exploration. Galleys are cheaper warships that should be used in inland seas. Lastly, there are also transport ships to ferry your troops over water. Build any ship in London to continue. Let's go ahead and get a bark. Buildings can be constructed to make improvements to provinces. Improvements can vary from increased tax income to more powerful forts to increased trade. Constructing buildings is vital for strengthening your economic and military power. Open the Buildings tab to continue. Buildings are categorized in different categories. That's self-evident, I would argue. The higher level buildings are called special buildings, and a province can only have special buildings from one building category. So, for instance, if you wanted to, you could have a college and a cathedral. This is the same category. Categories are in rows. So these ones would be available, but you can't go down the list. Unique buildings are buildings that can only be built once per nation and thus yield a larger benefit than regular buildings. Construct any building in London to continue. I'm going to build a dock. There are 2 different queues for production in a province. The unit queue allows you to either build a ship or recruit a regiment. You can also queue units. So, for instance, if I wanted to, I could get a couple of these queued up. We could also go back and mix with that ground troops. This is the unit queue. The building queue allows you to either construct a building, make core, convert religion, or change culture. Each of the 2 queues can do one thing simultaneously. So if I wanted to do that other stuff like building a building, you're going to have a different queue for it. As an empire grows larger, it becomes more difficult to manage. The production interface will help you make with constructing larger amounts of buildings or training troops. Selecting a building from the list will update the map mode with the information regarding where you would get the most benefit. Click the top left check the top left of the screen, click the building, the production interface button to continue. So that's right here. And there are two shortcuts. V will take you to the unit version, B takes you to the buildings version. Select a unit from the list and then click on the map to start production. You can either click directly on the map or click the plus icons. Clicking a province more than once will queue the ship or unit. Start production in 5 different provinces, and then remember to unpause the game. So let's say we want to queue up a whole bunch of infantry. We click this, and now it's showing all the potential places we're allowed to build it, how much it costs, how many days it'll take, and it says you can either click the plus or you can click directly on the county. So click the plus, or just click the county. If you want to take it back, you can click the minus. And for my playthrough so far, as long as you don't let the time tick at all, if you misclick, notice our money, 3977, you get the full amount back as long as you haven't let any time go. So if you misclick, don't worry, you're not losing money by canceling your queue. So we'll unpause now and let those build. This concludes Chapter 3, Production. In the next chapter, you will learn about War. Click Next to continue. When you declare war on a target, you want to have a casus belli on them. If you do not have a casus belli or justification for war, you will suffer negative effects from the declaration of war. Just click the Leinster province, then click Diplomacy and select Declare War. Select the Conquest Casus Belli and take Leinster as a war goal, and then click Declare War. So this is an event that popped up. Our agents report that the revolt was instigated by support from Leinster. We should not let this go unpunished. So we gain a claim, which will allow us to do that war claim. And that little arrow thing, I love that. It's so nice. It just shows you, kind of tells you where it is. Now if you didn't have the arrow, which you won't have in actual games, and you're trying to find a county, the best way to do it is press F. Although it won't let me do it right now because we're in the tutorial. But F will bring up the find title interface. And then you can type Leinster, or Leinster, it's pronounced. Something like that. Okay, so we're going to click on it, we're going to go to Diplomacy, we're going to click Declare War, and then we're going to select the Conquest Casus Belli, and then click Declare War. So we're now at war with them. Move your troops into the Leinster province to engage their army. You must also besiege and occupy their province before you can continue. If you want to bring all your troops, you will have to ferry them over and merge them into one army. Okay, so here's the units that we built. Let's send them over here. These guys can just walk. And I am going to keep these boats out at sea so that they are sieging the, or not sieging, but blockading Leinster. Now if we go to the siege screen, siege view, this is something that I wanted to just talk about, even though it's not anywhere in the tutorial. If you're used to EU3, you'll probably know more about this than I do, but basically the way siege works is every certain number of days an event will happen, and depending on the die roll, 1 through 14, it's going to have a certain effect. So for instance, if you get 5 to 8, there's a 28% chance that'll happen right now, then it's going to be a supplies shortage. The supplies shortage increases the siege status score by +1. So it basically adds 1 to the roll every time from here on out. If you were to roll a food shortage, 12 to 13, then you end up getting the +2 siege status. If your leader has siege ability, he'll increase your rolls. If you have cannons or artillery, notice how we're not blockading quite yet, so there's some -2 score, and then their fort level is -2. So we need to get this ship into St. George's Channel in order to get them properly fully sieged. So we'll combine our armies. Now we don't have to bring the ships to port, we can just send the army out to the water. And we'll move the ship here. Now notice that now that we have the ship in that county, or in that water area, now the -2 for blockade is gone, because we are blockading. We'll send those men there as well. And as time goes by, it's ticking up that siege status. When you eventually roll a 20 or higher, is when they will surrender. So this is a little bit different than Crusader Kings 2, very similar to, I guess, EU3. To demand tribute in a peace deal requires you have a certain amount of war score. The war goal reduces the war score cost of that province by 50%. Having a claim on a province reduces the cost of diplomatic power by 50%. Click the Leinster province, then click diplomacy, then click super peace. So since we have a war score of 100%, we will be able to press for claim. Now, this can be a little confusing at first, but basically these are your different options, different ways that you can demand tribute. So if we wanted to, we could force them to become an English vassal. We could have them transfer their trade power to us. But what they want us to do in the tutorial is request full annexation. It's going to cost, it's going to gain us 20 prestige. It's going to cost us 25 diplomatic power. It will cost us 15 aggressive expansion relations penalty. And then also, we're going to have 16% overextension. So let's go ahead and send the demand. Okay, when a war ends, your two nations will have a truce unless you annex them because they will no longer exist. You can see which countries you have a truce with and when they expire by hovering the mouse over the truce alert. Attacking someone who you have a truce with will incur a severe penalty to stability. It is not recommended. Truce will expire. So these are the people that we have truces with. This concludes the basic tutorial for EU4. You can replay the tutorial anytime if you wish to do so, play the advanced game mechanics part, or find more about EU4 in the Spanish Empire beginner campaign. Okay, so that's part 1 of the tutorial series. I'm going to play the next 2. I'm just going to take a short break and we'll be back in a little bit. Thanks for watching. See you soon.